Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. This is Success with Srini.
Today's podcast is an inspiration that I derived from a conversation I had with a friend of mine last night. So I'm talking to this friend for the first time in nearly 2.5 years. He calls me up from India and he tells me something which totally catches me by surprise, which is that he had been listening to the podcast ever since I made it a daily podcast, starting 1st of January this year. And he also tells me that he's also watching the videos of the podcast on YouTube. And he appreciates what I do, which is nice of him. But he points out something which actually is the source of today's podcast episode, which is he's unhappy that I'm focusing a lot on goal setting and goals. He says, you say to write down the tasks the night before and get up early in the morning and start working to accomplish them and all. I somehow have difficulty in comprehending this. Now, I wake up late, I sleep late, and I have a set pattern to my living, and I don't see me doing this. But I keep on hearing and listening to you. And I'm having a conflict in my mind. Should I do what Srini is saying, or should I keep on moving with my life? Because my life is awesome. So the reason why I'm recording this now is because I want him to listen. Because I already spoke to him. I told him what I have to tell him. But then the way this podcast will sound is different than the way I was speaking to him. So here is what I told him. I said, listen, in order to have a dynamic living, all of us want to be dynamic in our existence. We want to have a, incredible life, all of us. And we cannot have an incredible life unless we are constantly setting goals and fulfilling them. I kept on saying this on all my radio shows. And I keep on, I think on this podcast also, multiple times I talked about this. So all of us want dynamic living. We see people who are dynamic. We look at them and we are impressed by them and we are inspired by them. How come they have this life? Well, it turns out that they all have goals that they have set and they work towards achieving their goals on a daily basis, on a consistent basis. So I was trying to convey this point to him. I said, listen, if you start looking into the core human needs, depending upon who you listen to, some philosophers say there are 3 core human needs, some say 5, some say 6, some say 7. But they all agree on the basic idea of core human needs, which is we have some physiological needs like we want water, we want air, we want oxygen, and we want light, whatever. And once we have those, then we move to the next stage, which is we want predictability in our life, which is we want safety, we want security. So you leave the house, you go somewhere, when you come back, you want to be assured that your house is there. You can come back and open the door and come inside. And even if you leave the house and go somewhere, you need to be assured that wherever you're going to a safe place and nothing happens to you. So we need predictability in our living. And then we need love and belonging. We need self-esteem, pride, all that, and then self-actualization. So these are some of the things that we all need. Now, in order to get all these, some of them are given by the society on its own. But then anybody and everybody can have all these things. And the only common denominator that connects all these things is that your desire to pursue them. And you cannot pursue them without setting goals. So, you want power, you got to set goals. You want to achieve something, you can't be hopeful because hope doesn't create results. Hope has to be translated into a plan, and plan is again has to be translated into goals, and then that plan has to be worked upon through actions, and that's how we achieve. You want happiness, wealth, success, all that, you need to set goals. By default, nothing happens. So this was the point I was driving. Now, if you set the goals right, you don't need to work, you don't need to think about them. And most of the times the goals themselves, they do things for you. You do not have to work. Goals will work for you. And goals inherently have to have power in them. And I talked about this multiple times on this podcast. So how do you then get these things in place? Well, you don't have to do anything. The goals will do the heavy lifting. All you have to do is just flow with whatever you're trying to achieve. You are in the flow, you flow. And he just couldn't get this concept. So here is how I explained to him. And I'm making an attempt to explain this on the podcast now here. See, whatever we have in life, we have created everything with our mind. And mind is the fundamental element in all achievement. Anything that you have or anything that you plan on having in life, whether you think about it, you don't think about it, mind is a basic core functional necessity. Now, mind cannot focus on the achievement or cannot move you towards the achievement or cannot make you work towards the achievement unless it has clear objectives. Unless things are clear to it, it cannot work. So, all we have to do is we tell the mind to focus the attention on whatever we are trying to achieve. We are focusing our attention. We are telling the mind to focus. And we are telling the mind to become attentive to the thing that we want to achieve. Focusing attention is nothing but setting goals. You do that by setting goals. My question to you is this. I don't know how you achieve your goals, but I want you to question where is your attention at this point in time in your life. Where are you focused? Or are you just spending time without understanding the consequences? This was the conversation with my friend. And here's the good news from this. He got it. He got it. He said he got it. But I did not feel, I don't think he got it. So I told him I'm going to record the podcast and I'm going to publish this. And that is why I recorded this podcast. Hopefully this is helpful. My idea is that I want your attention to focus on things that you want to achieve. And for that, goals are necessary. And that you need to plan your goals ahead in time. You need to have daily goals. You have to have weekly goals. You have to have monthly goals. And as you start setting these goals and you start working towards them, see, once you set a goal, the body moves, the mind moves, because the objective is very clear. And as you are moving, you'll start to experience the flow. And as you start to experience the flow, that in itself is called dynamic living. If you are not setting goals and you are just spending time away, that means somebody else is benefiting from your inactivity. That means you are fulfilling somebody else's goals. Okay, my time is up. Hopefully this podcast is helpful. I'm just took that conversation and just recorded this. Hopefully it's helpful. If it is, do me a favor, let me know. And the number to this podcast is 888-818-0404. Call me, text me, leave me a message. And if you have a question for me, I will respond to your question as in my voice, using your voice, and publish that as a podcast. I think I said it right. Okay, that's all for now. Take care. Bye.